Hi business creators, it's Claire from Claire, and today I want to explore the question of if stretch goals are useful or useless. Now, which camp are you in? Are you in the camp of stretch goals to push you further, or camp achievable goals to help you achieve and to feel good? Now, I'm going to suggest that depends on your perspective to if stretch goals are useful or useless. But we would all love to achieve things beyond our wildest dreams, but short of just believing the universe will deliver as you sip cocktails by the poolside, you're going to need to take action to make those goals happen. Part of that is believing the goal is possible, and part of that is pushing yourself to make it happen. So that's where we get stuck between our stretch goals good or bad, useful or useless. Now, the problem with stretch goals that I see is that often people get confused between a stretch goal and something that's just not possible. And if your brain doesn't believe it's possible, then it's going to be demotivating and it's going to be overwhelming. And those two feelings will likely discourage you from actually taking any action. So you will struggle to build momentum because the end result will still seem so far away. So that's the problem with stretch goals. Like in the SMART goals model, it's always got to be realistic or achievable depending on your definition of the letters you choose. So let's think about earning a shared load more money than you have so far. Sounds awesome. Let's go from $1,000 a week to $10,000 a week. But consider, what's the impact of that on you? What's the impact of that on your business? What's the impact of that on the people you work with? Because your availability is going to change and that's going to impact pretty much all of those things. What are the consequences of making that big jump? Is your bookkeeping ready? Are your systems ready? I have a whole blog on how 5-figure months are not necessarily what they're cracked up to be. I will link to that. But does your brain even think it's safe to make this big goal happen? Because if not, that's really not going to make stretch goals work out for you. The second thing, when we come to stretch goals, is we still need to break the goal down. Breaking it down can help to reduce the overwhelm. It can help to increase the motivation into smaller steps because those smaller steps feel more achievable and we can kind of build that momentum with them. And it's also in breaking it down, if you do consider using a stretch goal, that we actually see if the goal is possible or if it's simply just that fantasy. So for money goals, you can check how many packages do I need to sell to make $10,000 a month. For new client goals, you might need to check how many people do I need to speak to in order to convert 5 people into new clients. And it's this breaking it down exercise that helped me to see that earning 6 figures from my side hustle jewelry business was a total fantasy when I was selling an average pieces of $45. Total fantasy. I would never be able to make that amount of sales. But chasing these smaller goals, as I said, helps you to build that momentum, helps you to recognize you are taking the steps even if you end up missing out on the big goal. So if you do set a stretch goal, really would recommend breaking it down into smaller steps. Now, the third facet of stretch goals is the impact of that all or nothing, because that's kind of what we're getting into. It can really lead to burnout if you push really hard, particularly over a sustained period. It's not necessarily going to create the result afterwards that is going to serve your business. It's the old turtle and the hare analogy. Yes, you probably can manage 200% exertion for a while, but where will that lead you? Where will that leave you? And that's probably in some sort of burnout or meltdown. It's important here when we think about stretch goal to check if the goal is sustainable. Do you have 2 hours a day to post and engage in 12 different Facebook groups? If not, and you can't do that on a sustained basis, maybe changes that actually fit with your business, with your lifestyle, would be better habits to build so you can sustain them, so they can pay off long term, because you can continue to put that input in, continue to make the effort, and continue to build the momentum. Now, I will say that some goals are short, quick, hard push, and they lead themselves to be good stretch goals. Updating your website, for example, once it's done for a while at least. It's not something you need to continually work at. But for other goals, longer term goals, the stretch method may backfire because you end up completely off Facebook groups because you can't stand the sight of it, having spent hours and hours in all of those Facebook groups. So have a think about, is this just approaching it with an all or nothing mindset? Can I sustain it? Is this the best approach for the project or for the goal itself? And is it going to pay off in the long term? So it is possible. I think stretch goals are useful, but you have to do it without beating yourself up. So to really harness the power of a stretch goal, you have to be 100% okay with not achieving it. The point of setting the goal is to stretch you, to push you out of your comfort zone. It's not a reason to judge and criticize. That is the exact opposite of what we want, because that is not going to motivate us. Yes, it would be nice, it would be amazing, it would be fabulous, but it's beyond what you thought was realistic. So if it doesn't happen, don't beat yourself up. It's also wise only to set one stretch goal at a time, because otherwise you're going to be stretched in so many different ways and you're just going to hit capacity really quickly. Now, personally, I do use stretch goals, but I use them to help me get more comfortable with them. So my current stretch goal is to earn $10,000 in 45 days, which takes me to the GST registration threshold. Now, every time I write that goal down, every time I think about that goal, every time I see that goal, I'm training my brain into making that goal familiar, which makes it feel safe, which makes it feel possible. And I will say I have achieved it a couple of times, but I want it to be achievable consistently and reliably, and not allowing my imposter to tell me it was a fluke, because that's where the imposter kicks in after the fact on those stretch goals. Setting a stretch goal beyond what you thought was possible can lead you into lucky thinking. I was lucky this time, but I'll not be able to do it again. And basically, your imposter sets you back to square one with your goals. So I would suggest setting stretch goals strategically, leaving the expectation and trying them with just the short burst projects. If this video has been useful, I would love you to give me a thumbs up and let me know in the comments how you went with your last stretch goal. You can subscribe for more content like this on productivity, imposter syndrome, and mindset for solopreneurs. And if you need my help in making those goals feel achievable, then reach out for a free discovery session.